Hey guys, I'm back, and this is still tier list number 3. I guess this is episode 5, in the middle of it. Next deck in this tier is Grave Whispers. Grave Whispers is one of those decks where when it came out, I actually loved it so much, and I thought it was really, really well placed in the meta because it beat the best deck in the game at that point, which was Unquenchable. It still beats Unquenchable, mainly because it gains card advantage and then just wins with dudes, or bigger dudes rather, not just any dudes, or reassembling dudes. All 4 of these guys, all 4 of them, they're so good. There are a lot of situations where you don't want them, but so many more where you do want them. And then all 4 of these Liliana Spectres, there's almost no situation where you don't want these. At least it's a 2-1 flying blocker. Could be a 2-1 flying attacker plus make them discard a card is awesome. And you want all 4 of the Mind Rots in because the chances that you draw 4 of them are unlikely. I know it's happened to me before, but doesn't mean that it's likely. But anyway, this deck, I've always liked it. It's got discard, which is awesome. The rack, the more that I see it, the more I want to find a replacement for it. But like the only thing that I can really think of that would replace it decently would be Ghouldraw Spectre, or maybe Siphon Mind. I mean, it's a 4-drop cantrip discard, so it's not the worst thing to have. It's like, I mean, you willingly pay 3 for Repulse, which doesn't even get rid of a card. It just deals with it. And maybe Siphon Flesh too. Make them sacrifice a dude and give yourself a 2/2. It's a really gross picture though. I don't know. Guess I wouldn't be happy running. And then of course there's Monomania, which just wrecks people for no reason. So 1, 2, 3, 4 all could be run instead of the rack, really, because it's just decent. It just does a little bit of damage over the course of the game. So I don't know. I don't really like it. But anyway, Consume Spirit, Doomblid, Marsh Casualties. I mean, obviously these are all control spells because they all help deal with their. It helps discard cards, but Quag Sickness, all those cards that I just went through, kill your opponent's creatures. Monoland Hallowed is just amazing because you get zombies and then you get more zombies a little bit later on. Mortivor's pretty cool. Usually, I mean, not always, but usually he's pretty strong. And even if he's not strong, he's still a pretty good blocker because he's got Regenerate. I feel like Scavenger Drake is really well placed in this deck. It's got so much removal that you just drop him and then he grows pretty quickly. Then there's Beacon of Unrest, which is, I'm going to include that in the bomb section. Beacon of Unrest, Bloodgift Demon, Ob, Corrupt, Grave Titan, Massacre Worm. So anyway, this deck, it beats any slow deck, obviously, because any deck that wants to keep cards in its hand, this deck is gonna wreck it. Except for Realm, because Realm has too much draw power, so Realm kind of defeats this deck pretty handily. I don't know. I don't really know how this deck performs against Benighted. I haven't seen too much of it, but I mean, obviously, if Benighted gets its pro black dudes out, then the only way that you're gonna win is if you drop a Marsh Casualties or Massacre Worm. And to get to Massacre Worm, if they have a Mirror Crusader out, it's pretty difficult. As well as it's difficult to just beat their super awesome strong dudes at the beginning of the game. So I don't really think that this deck has a great matchup against Benighted, and I don't really think it has a great matchup against March to War either. So that's why it's dropped to tier 3, even though I like it so much, and I think that every card in this deck is very powerful and useful in many, many situations. It has a really bad matchup against the top 3. And then, I mean, you move down and it gets better matchups overall. It probably still has a pretty bad matchup against zombies. But it pretty much beats everything in this tier and below it. I guess that's why I have it in this tier that it is in. I don't know, I really like this deck, and every time I play it, I'm just excited. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll draw that. That'll be awesome in this situation. But anyway, next deck is going to round out tier 3. I just have 3 decks in this tier. And yeah, we'll be right back. See you soon. Hey guys, I'm Daisho, and I'm here playing some Magic. Not actually playing Magic, just going through my tier list, and this is Wielding Steel, the last deck in tier 3, and this deck is pretty good. Nobody really thinks of it as very good because it's just, I don't know, it's been out for so long and it wasn't that good when it was out, but with the addition of the new cards and just the placement in the meta right now, it's actually pretty good. I think I like it as one of the better decks in the game. As you can see, I don't run all the dudes. There's so many dudes. There's 4 aces, I run none of them. There's these Kite Sail Apprentices, which are amazing if you've got equipment, and I run none of them. 4 Glory Seekers, I run none of them. These 3 Core Outfitters, I run none of them. And then there's Argenum Armor, which I don't know, maybe. I mean, you could definitely make a case for that finding its way into the deck. The only problem is, without Core Outfitter, Argentum Armor loses its allure to me. The reason why I like it in the deck originally is because you could get it out turn 3, I think. If you played turn 2 Stoneforge. Actually turn 4, I guess. Because turn 2 Stoneforge, and then turn 3... pop it into play, and then turn 4 you have to wait till to equip it. So I don't know, it's pretty cool to get Argentum out swinging in turn 4, but not very good. I'm not even going to talk about this terrible card that makes your opponent's creatures better. Like, the only reason why I can see people ever running it is because they have a whole lot of dudes. There's these 2/2s and all and shit, and then they need their guys to be bigger. And then there's also Conqueror's Pledge in this deck, so it's like a pseudo Glory of Warfare kind of thing. But anyway, I needed to leave in some of the small dudes. Core Duelist just wrecks face so hard if you get a Trusty Machete or a Sword of War and Peace on it. Pure Steel just helps you out so much if you can draw, and if not, it's still a 2/2 for 2, so he's a decent blocker, and people don't really think that you're willing to trade with him, but you certainly are, because he doesn't do that much for the deck. Arrest is going to be your only bit of removal. Avenger, Stallsworth. This guy is alright late game. I don't know, there could be an argument to put in Kite Sail and take out Pen and Blade, or even put in Argentum and take out Pen and Blade, because, I mean, Pen and Blade isn't really going to be useful until Argentum is useful, so, I don't know. I mean, I haven't really gone through this deck in a while, but that'll be my change for right now, because this deck is built for the long game anyway, and Argentum really helps in the long game. But anyway, these two Congregates, and then these two, this one Harmless Assault, are really all in this deck just to stall the game out, make it last a little bit longer. Guardian Seraph as well, locks it on Gatekeeper as well. They just buy you like half of an extra turn, I guess. And then you just want to drop Angel, Serra Angel, Baneslayer Angel, Sunblast Angel, Roar, or Captain of the Watch, or your one Conqueror's Pledge that you have in the deck. So, I don't know, Conqueror's Pledge plus Captain of the Watch is actually really funny. I did that once. I showed you that video. But anyway, Wielding Steel works out so well for me. Really, probably I would say it's one of the top 3 most winning decks for me. I guess I can bring up my statistics right here. It's right across the room. But looks like here, Wielding Steel, it's got a 3 win-loss for me. And the only 2 decks that have better win-losses are Oromancer and Benighted. And I absolutely refuse to put Oromancer anywhere near the top, just because it's not good. The only reason why it's okay is because there aren't, like, if you're not playing a deck that's really, really good against it, then it can actually beat face really quickly. But whatever, Oromancer's terrible. I hate putting it where I put it, just because I think it should be so bad, but it performs well. So anyway, Wielding Steel, it's one of the better stall decks. I mean, it's like the mechanism it has for stalling isn't good, but it peaks at 5 and 6 really, and then it just becomes crazy good. Plus the fact that it's got Sword of War and Peace. Like, as much as I hate to rely on 1-ofs in the deck, I mean, it's sort of like a 2-of, because you can also get it with Stoneforge. But anyway, as much as I hate to rely on 1-ofs or 2-ofs, it's actually really, really useful. Infiltration Lens is so much better than most people think. It's obviously worse if you have less creatures than the deck, but if they ever block you, then you just are really, really happy. Like, if you got a Core Duelist with a Trusty Machete on it, and then you toss an Infiltration Lens on it, then they're going to need a block with like at least 2 guys, and then you draw 4 cards. It's so worth it. But anyway, that's pretty much it. This deck is really, really good. I think it works well against most decks. Obviously, if you got Sword of War and Peace out against any deck with white and red in it, then it'll just win. Mono white or mono red or white red, which there are a bunch of. In fact, the top two of the top 3 decks are white red or just white. So Sword of War and Peace really helps in those matchups. And if you can just stall out against most other matchups, and like Arrests and Revoke Existences really do help with that, plus the Hookmasters. And like, if you just drop Gideon's Lawkeeper early on, or Gideon's Avenger early on, then there's a lot that they can't really do, because they can't really swing with their grounded creatures if you've got Gideon's Avenger, and they can't swing with their best creature if you've got Gideon's Lawkeeper out. So, well, it's not like Dark Heaven's good stally. It's still pretty decent stally, and its bombs are pretty good. Like Serra Angel, I mean, it's a 4/4 vigilance flying for 5, so Like, it just does the job. It wins you the game very quickly. Once you play this creature, it puts them on a clock as well as defending yourself. So it's not like you have to tap out. It's a multi-purposeful creature. So I really like that about Sarah Angel, Baneslayer. It's pretty much the same thing, because while it's not blocking the next turn, it's still gaining you life. So it's basically like it's doing blocking on the next turn. It's absorbing 5 points of damage. And then, of course, Sunblast is hilarious. Like, you swing out and then they're like, oh, whatever, I can just swing back next turn and win. They swing back, and you're just like, nope, Harmless Assault or Congregate or something like that. And then they're just like, oh, all right, whatever, I'll just wait one more turn and win next turn. And then you're just like, sorry, bro, Sunblast Angel, get your guys out of my face. Anyway, Wielding Steel, very, very good, and it's going to round out the tier 3. This is probably my favorite tier. This tier plus the next tier. If I'm ever gonna call someone out, I guess on the whole duels community thing, then I would basically challenge them to a duel using just these 2 tiers. Since I'm making a challenge, I should be able to issue whatever challenge I want. You can choose to accept it. You can choose to not accept it, but that would be my challenge. I don't know. I just feel like it's the most fair of all of the types of playing. Like, I mean, you could just play whatever OP decks you want, but I could just say maybe you can't use tier 1 decks, or I don't know. I just think that the my tier 1 and tier 2 decks are just really, really much more powerful than all the others. And if you ever play one of those decks against one of the lower decks, then it's just impossible to win. As well as I think that the matchups are just really bad. So like, if you play with one of those decks, then there's a very high chance that your opponent is just going to be playing an unwinnable matchup, while these decks, Wielding Steel and Grave Whispers, as well as Dark Heavens, don't really create any unwinnable matchups, at least in my opinion. So anyway, I'll talk more about that in a futuristically later date. But that's going to be it for this episode of Tier List video, whatever episode this is. This is the end of Tier 3. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a nice day. Bye.